How I learned English, my own story. When I first started learning English, I had no idea how much it would change my life. It all began with a simple classroom, a few textbooks, and a teacher who spoke slowly and carefully. At that time, English was just another subject at school, something I had to pass in exams. But little by little, word by word, I began to realize that English was not just a subject, it was a key to the world. In the early days, I didn't understand much. I remember the first time I saw a sentence like, "How are you?" I didn't even know how to answer. The grammar was confusing and pronunciation felt strange in my mouth. I was nervous, especially when the teacher asked me to read out loud. I often felt embarrassed because I didn't know how to say the words correctly. But I told myself, everyone starts somewhere. It's okay to make mistakes. At first, my learning depended a lot on school lessons. We studied vocabulary lists and grammar rules. I tried hard to memorize everything, but it didn't feel very practical. I could write correct sentences on paper, but I still couldn't speak well. That made me feel a bit disappointed. Then one day, something changed. It started with music. A classmate shared a popular English song with me. I liked the rhythm, but I didn't understand the lyrics. So I searched for the meaning online. I listened to that song again and again, reading the lyrics and singing along. Slowly, I started understanding more. I realized that music could be a fun way to learn. So I began listening to more songs, looking up new words, and repeating lines out loud. I wasn't just memorizing words anymore. I was enjoying them. Later, I started watching English movies and cartoons. At first, I used subtitles in my own language. Then, I tried watching with English subtitles. And eventually, I challenged myself to watch without any subtitles at all. It was hard at first, but I noticed that I was improving. I was learning how people spoke naturally, how they used expressions, and how their tone changed depending on feelings. I also began to copy some phrases and practice saying them out loud. Reading became another way I practiced English. I started small, just a few sentences a day. I read short stories, comic books, and even social media posts in English. I always had a notebook with me where I wrote down new words. Every time I learned a new word, I tried to use it in a sentence. I didn't worry about being perfect, I just wanted to grow. But the biggest challenge was speaking. I had no one to practice with. None of my close friends spoke English regularly, and I was too shy to speak in public. So I came up with a creative solution. I started talking to myself. Every day I looked in the mirror and spoke out loud in English. I talked about my day, my goals, or anything I was thinking about. This simple practice helped me get used to forming sentences and hearing myself speak English. It slowly built my confidence. Later, I joined some online English learning groups. I met people from different countries who also wanted to practice. We chatted through text and sometimes did voice or video calls. At first, I felt very nervous. I made mistakes. I forgot words. But the people I talked to were kind and supportive. They encouraged me, corrected me gently, and helped me feel more comfortable. Another thing that helped me was writing. I began keeping a daily journal in English. Every night before bed, I wrote a few sentences about what happened during the day. Over time, my writing improved. My grammar became stronger, and I started using more complex words and expressions. I also wrote short stories, letters, and even comments on English videos or blogs. Writing gave me time to think and helped me remember what I learned. I also used apps and tools to support my learning. I used dictionary apps to check meanings and pronunciation. I used flashcards to review vocabulary. I even used English language learning apps to do small exercises when I had free time. Even if it was just 10 minutes a day, I stayed consistent. One of the most important things I learned during this journey is that you don't have to be perfect to be a good English speaker. You just have to be brave, consistent, and open to learning. Making mistakes is part of the process. Every mistake taught me something. Every small win gave me confidence. Today, I feel much more confident when I use English. I can have conversations, read books, write emails, and watch movies without feeling lost. I still have more to learn. There's always more to learn. But now, I enjoy the process. English has become a part of my daily life. I use it for learning, entertainment, work, and making new friends. Looking back, I realized that learning English wasn't just about language. It taught me patience, discipline, and the value of trying every day, even if it's just a little. I'm proud of how far I've come, and I'm excited to keep improving. If someone asked me, "How did you learn English?" I would say this: I started with fear, continued with curiosity, and grew with practice. I used songs, movies, books, speaking to myself, and writing. I made mistakes, but I never gave up. That's how I learned, and that's how you can learn too. As I continued learning English, I began to notice changes in the way I thought, not only about language, but also about myself. I used to believe that learning English was something only smart people could do, or something that only those who lived abroad could master. But through my daily efforts, I discovered something important. Anyone can learn if they are willing to stay consistent, curious, and patient. There were days when I felt like giving up, days when I read an article and didn't understand a single paragraph, days when I watched a video and couldn't follow the conversation. I questioned myself. I wondered if I would ever be fluent. But every time I felt discouraged, I reminded myself of how far I had already come. I reminded myself of the first time I understood an English joke, the first time I ordered something online using English, and the first time someone complimented my pronunciation. These small victories kept me going. One turning point in my journey was when I started thinking in English. At first, I forced myself to do it. I would look at objects and say their names in English in my mind. Table, chair, window, fan. Later, I tried to think in full sentences. I need to finish my homework. I want to drink water. Over time, thinking in English became more natural. This helped me respond faster in conversations and made me more confident. Another major step was setting personal goals. I realized that just wanting to be fluent was too vague. So I set clear, simple goals like learn 5 new words a day, watch 1 English video every night, write 1 paragraph about my day every evening, have at least 1 English conversation each week. These small goals added up over time. Slowly, I built habits, and habits became part of my life. Around this time, I also discovered something very useful: shadowing practice. I found videos of native English speakers, especially slow-speaking teachers or actors. I listened to a sentence, paused the video, and repeated the sentence out loud, trying to match the speaker's tone, speed, and pronunciation. This was like training my mouth and ears to work together. I didn't just learn English, I started to feel it. One of the most exciting parts of learning English was making international friends. Through language exchange platforms, social media, and online communities, I began talking to people from different countries. We shared our cultures, languages, and stories. Sometimes we helped each other with grammar, but more importantly, we built real connections. English became more than just a language. It became a bridge between people. I saw how powerful it was to connect with others through a shared language. I also began exploring different types of English: formal, casual, business English, slang, idioms, and even English used in motivational speeches. I realized that English is not one single style. There's the English of textbooks, but there's also the English of real life, spoken on the streets, in cafes, in job interviews, and in movies. Understanding these differences helped me choose the right words in the right situations. Of course, grammar was still important. I used to hate it, But once I started writing more and getting feedback from online forums or teachers, I began to appreciate how grammar helped me express myself clearly. I no longer learned grammar just to pass exams. I used it to communicate my thoughts and feelings. Writing stories in English became one of my favorite hobbies. I started writing little short stories based on things that happened to me or things I imagined. I shared some of them with friends online. Their positive feedback gave me confidence. They even said, "Your English is getting really good." That meant a lot to me. Another technique that helped me was reading out loud every day. Whether it was a page from a book, a news article, or even my own writing, I made it a habit to speak the words aloud. This helped me with pronunciation, fluency, and confidence. I felt like I was training both my voice and my brain to work together. There was a moment I will never forget. One day, I joined a free online seminar. The speaker was an American teacher. I listened carefully, and to my surprise, I understood almost everything. I even asked a question in English, and the teacher replied, "That's a great question." I felt proud, even though I was nervous. It was the first time I had used English in a real, professional setting. That moment made me believe in myself even more. Eventually, I started helping others learn English too. Some of my friends asked me for tips or help with their homework. I realized that teaching others helped me improve even more. It forced me to explain grammar clearly, think deeply about the language, and reflect on what had worked for me. Sharing knowledge felt good, and it reminded me of how far I had come. I also learned that learning English doesn't have to be boring. I used games, flashcards, funny videos, podcasts, and even cooking shows to keep things interesting. I followed English-speaking YouTubers who made me laugh and think. I also listened to audiobooks while walking. English became something I enjoyed, not something I feared. Now, English is part of my identity. I don't speak perfectly. I still make mistakes sometimes, but I'm no longer afraid. I'm excited to continue learning. I use English to read books, watch documentaries, write messages, and talk with people from around the world. I even dream in English sometimes. If someone asks me, "What's your secret to learning English?" I would say this: there's no secret, only small steps taken every day. Find what you love: music, movies, stories, conversations, and use English to enjoy them. Make English part of your daily life. Be patient with yourself. Learn from your mistakes. Speak even when you feel scared. And most of all, keep going. Learning English has opened so many doors for me. It has given me confidence, connection, and opportunities. It has helped me learn about the world and about myself. This journey has been long, but it has been worth it. And it's not over yet. I'm still learning, still growing, still exploring. And you can too. Now, I try to use English in my everyday life as much as I can. I write my to-do lists in English. I watch the news in English. I even dream in English sometimes. Of course, I still make mistakes, and there is always more to learn. But that's okay. I've learned that mistakes are not failures. They're steps on the way to fluency. Looking back, I realized that the key to learning English wasn't just about studying hard. It was about staying curious, being brave, and using the language in ways that were fun and meaningful to me. I mixed different methods: school learning, videos, music, reading, speaking, and writing, and I made English a part of my everyday world. Today, I can speak, read, and write English with much more confidence than when I started. I'm not perfect, but I've come a long way, and I'm proud of that. My journey of learning English is still continuing. Every day brings new words, new expressions, and new chances to grow. I'm excited for what's ahead, and I hope my story inspires others to keep going too.